Yeah. For me, there's kind of two questions embedded in there that I think are different questions. The first one is really around how do you create an environment that is compelling and interesting and engaging for kids such that you get what is there, which is unrelated to technology in many respects. And I think that still goes back to culture and pedagogy. You've got to have a belief around, that every student can learn. And you know, if we look deeply into the research, Carol Dweck's work around effort as it relates to achievement. We mentioned Malcolm Gladwell's work around not only effort and talent, but opportunity. How do we create both an environment for effort to take place, as well as opportunities for students to leverage that effort and talent into achievement? I mean, those are some of the questions that need to be addressed before you can even have the conversation around technology. Now, as it relates to technology, however, so the cell phone being a perfect example. So we don't allow cell phones, although it can be a really compelling device. I think every technology introduction is a battle, and it's that balance between safety of students, between distractors for students, and meaningful use. And if you build a culture around meaningful use, then you begin to open up the door for those technologies. So in the Web 2.0 work, again, that was just released today, one of the survey questions was around what are concerns of superintendents across the country around the introduction of new technology. The number one concern is that it can be a distractor. So let's not even use cell phones, let's use Facebook. Why do we not allow Facebook? Why do we shut down the filters so Facebook can't be used, even though it is a good Web 2.0 technology? Because it's a huge distractor for students. So the question is, how do we create meaningful use versus distractors? Now, there was something that I believe you might have said in our conversations the last couple of days, is that, no, it was actually Dennis Small back in our audience. He said it at lunch today. And that is, when you look at the policy decisions that people like I make, and my fellow superintendents make, those policy decisions are often in reaction to learning environments which are unengaging. And when we create learning environments that are truly engaging for kids, the policy issues become less relevant. I think this problem is about student engagement, and we have to create environments that are engaging for kids.
This debate of the cell phone reminds me of when the calculator first came in, right? Did you have that kind of a debate?
Absolutely, and what I was thinking as Chip was talking was empowering students to not rely on teachers to provide information, but to discover information on their own and or access it on their own. And for me, that was, as a math teacher in a high school in the 90s when the TI-81s came in, the graphing calculator, it truly changed. It was my aha moment, thinking I was a good math teacher and I was doing the best job I could. A classroom set of these arrived, and suddenly every child had, or student, high school student, from college child, has access to a graphing calculator that is loaded with so many functions and so much information. There was no way for me with a manual to figure it out mid-year and start figuring out how I was going to provide that information and teach kids how to use that. So instead, what was just an aha moment as a teacher was saying, okay, assigning each one of the kids in the classroom a function to figure out on the computer a topic, whether it be parabolas, whether it be sine waves, whatever, and come back to the classroom and teach that to their peers and to me, taking, as a student seat through the process. And it was an amazing experience. For me, it was that discovery of what it's like to get off the stage, to become one of the learners with the students, and to empower the students to take over that instruction. And I think that's a lot of what's probably happening in the classroom that you are looking at.
But it's on a case-by-case, individual teacher-by-teacher basis. And all of a sudden, the tipping point is reached. You become, instead of the teacher, you become the chief learner in the room. And you're all trying to figure this new stuff out. One last question, because we're kind of running out of time, but it has to do with organization structure. 13 years ago, I made a statement to the superintendent that at Boeing, we use the term MIS, Management Information Services, and the MIS director was a vice president level, reporting to the president. And I said, our schools, that I in the middle is bigger. It's almost like all you are is the I. And why is the IT director way down the chain? Where in your districts do they report and why? Are you looking at it that way? What does the IT director do in your district and organization? Do they participate in budget setting and policy, in questions like this about cell phones versus not? You know, that type of thing.
In short,
Either way, yeah, short answer.
absolutely the leader of the district with respect to instructional technology. And the emphasis in Shoreline is instruction. We would not be where we are now without the leadership, both the present leadership and the person that preceded him in that role, being instructional people first and foremost, and the technology a secondary sort of part of their expertise. They're the first phone call we make when it comes to laptop policy, anything with respect to instructional practice, professional development. It falls upon that person who happens to be in this audience. And truly, I would tell you, has been the driving force behind the vision that Shoreline had long before I took this role. I was working for them.
The same in Renton. We are blessed to have a team, dynamic duo, who are also in the room, that are able to work on the instructional side, some incredible background in teaching and teaching adults as well as working with students, but then the expertise on the technology side. And like I said earlier, the collaboration and the integration of those two things is what will move instruction in the classroom forward. And so we don't move anywhere without one, two, or both of them at the same time.